Millions of years ago, there was no Philippines. There was no Indonesia. Just an endless, violent ocean. And beneath it, a war. A war between continents. A war that is still being fought today. What you're about to see isn't a theory. It's not a legend. It's the buried truth, written in stone, locked beneath volcanoes, oceans, and fault lines that scientists have spent decades trying to decode. Why does Indonesia have over 17,000 islands? Why does the Philippines shake and erupt almost every single year? The answer will change the way you look at these islands forever. Before we begin, if you're new here, this is HISTX4, and we uncover the hidden history of our world. Hit subscribe, help us reach 500 subscribers, and join us on this journey. Now, let's go back 250 million years to where it all began. Let's start from the very beginning. About 250 million years ago, all the continents on Earth were joined together into one giant landmass. Scientists call this Pangea. Today's Asia, Australia, and Antarctica were all part of this single supercontinent. But beneath the Earth's surface, the mantle is constantly moving, a process known as plate tectonics. This movement slowly began to break Pangea apart. About 200 million years ago, Pangea started splitting. Large chunks separated and drifted in different directions. During this process, a special region began forming, the one we today call Southeast Asia. But this region wasn't created in a single event. It formed from the collision of three massive tectonic plates, a collision that is still happening today. Let's understand the three main players. First, the Pacific Plate, the largest tectonic plate on Earth, slowly drifting westward. Second, the Eurasian Plate. This carries the entire Asian mainland, including China and most of mainland Southeast Asia. Third, the Indo-Australian Plate, moving upward from the south, carrying Australia and a large part of the Indian Ocean. Where these three plates meet, a triple junction forms, and that's exactly where Indonesia and the Philippines exist today. When two plates collide, one slides beneath the other, a process called subduction. As the plate sinks, it begins to melt, and molten rock, magma, pushes its way upward. Where this magma breaks through the ocean floor, a volcanic island is born. This basic process is what created the entire island chain of Southeast Asia. But the individual stories of Indonesia and the Philippines are completely different and fascinating in their own ways. To understand Indonesia, we need to travel back about 20,000 years to the last ice age. Back then, much of Earth's water was locked up as ice in glaciers and polar caps. As a result, sea levels were about 120 meters lower than today. Because of this, today's Sumatra, Java, Borneo, Bali, and many nearby islands were once part of one continuous landmass directly connected to mainland Asia. Scientists call this lost landmass Sundaland. Imagine this: where you take a ferry from Java to Sumatra today, you could once have simply walked across. Tigers, elephants, orangutans, they could all travel freely across this land bridge. That's exactly why the forests of Sumatra and Borneo still have animals similar to those found on mainland Asia. Then, around 18,000 to 10,000 years ago, the Ice Age began to end. Glaciers melted rapidly, releasing enormous amounts of water into the oceans. Sea levels rose quickly, by some estimates, more than 100 meters in just a few thousand years. This rising water flooded the low-lying areas of Sundaland. Only the higher ground remained above water and became separate islands. This process is, in fact, still slowly continuing today as sea levels keep changing. But that's only half the story. The eastern part of Indonesia, Sulawesi, Maluku, and the Papua region formed in a completely different way. This area was never part of Sundaland. Instead, it was created by the direct collision of the Pacific and Indo-Australian plates. This region falls into a unique biological zone scientists call Wallacea, where the plants and animals differ from both Asia and Australia, a unique mix found nowhere else. This is exactly why Indonesia has such incredible biodiversity today, why a single country can have Asian elephants in one part and Australian-style marsupials in another. Now let's talk about the Philippines, and here the story changes entirely. Much of Indonesia's land was broken apart, an existing landmass that flooded and split into islands, but the land of the Philippines was built from scratch, rising from below through volcanic activity. The Philippines sits in a zone scientists call the Philippine Mobile Belt. It got this name because the region is constantly moving. Multiple small microplates and tectonic blocks are colliding here at once. On the west, the South China Sea Plate is sinking eastward. On the other side, the Philippine Sea Plate is sinking westward. In a way, the Philippines is squeezed between two jaws, with land being compressed from both directions. For millions of years, this subduction process caused continuous underwater volcanic eruptions. Each eruption deposited a new layer of lava. Over time, these layers grew thick enough to rise above sea level and became islands. That's why most of the major islands of the Philippines, Luzon, Mindanao, are essentially volcanic arc islands, formed from a chain of volcanoes. And because this process hasn't stopped, the Philippines remains one of the most volcanically and seismically active regions on Earth. Mount Pinatubo, Mount Mayon, Taal Volcano. These are all part of this ongoing process. Now comes the part that even surprised scientists. When researchers analyzed the rocks of these islands geologically, they found some strange patterns. First, some rocks in the Philippines don't match anything found anywhere else on Earth. This means these pieces didn't break off from any larger landmass. They were born directly from the ocean floor, with no parent continent at all. Second, some islands were formed when separate pieces of land, originally located in completely different places, slowly drifted toward each other due to plate movement and eventually collided to form a single island. Scientists call this process terrain accretion. Third, and this is the most fascinating part, rocks and fossils found in parts of Indonesia, like Sulawesi, show that this region was once located very close to Australia, and over millions of years drifted to its current position. In other words, Indonesia and the Philippines were never a single unified landmass. They came from different places, formed through completely different processes, and over millions of years, slowly came together as a collection of geological puzzle pieces. And here's something important to understand. This story isn't finished. Plate tectonics is still active right now. Both Indonesia and the Philippines experience small shifts every single year. Some areas are slowly rising, others are sinking. New small islands could form, and the shape of existing islands could change. It's just so slow that we don't notice it within our lifetimes. That's exactly why earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are so common in these two countries, because the land is still being made, even today. So the next time you stand on a beach in Bali, swim in the lagoons of Palawan, or look up at the smoking peak of a volcano in Java, pause for a moment. What you're looking at isn't just sand, water, and rock. It's the final chapter of a 250-million-year-old war between continents. A war of fire, ice, oceans, and time. And the truth is, that war has never ended. It's still happening, right now, beneath your feet. If this journey opened your eyes, hit that like button, share it with someone who loves a good mystery, and subscribe to HISTX4. Let's hit 500 subscribers together and keep uncovering the hidden history of our world. We'll see you in the next one.